$3.4 million a year for 5 years, performance bonuses, new Mercedes-Benz demo vehicle every year, and that is just the part Alabama has agreed to pay. I don't know where he's going to go, but I can guarantee you this, he won't be at Bama for much longer. Woo! Sorry for the scream, it just sounded appropriate. Anyways, we got some interesting stuff going on in good old Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So for those of you that don't know, Alabama's new offensive coordinator since Steve Sarkisian has left to go to Texas is Bill O'Brien. I understand a lot of you, if you don't keep up with Alabama or football and you're a casual fan, you're not going to know too much about them. I'll try to dumb it down in the quickest way possible. Alabama fans, they're not too fond of them, and a lot of them hate them. And if you don't want to take my word for it, there is thousands of tweets of Alabama fans tweeting out, "I hate you, Bill O'Brien." For example, I'll just throw this one up right here in all caps. "I hate you so much, Bill O'Brien." Literally, in the middle of games for no reason, you'll have Bama fans tweeting out, "I hate Bill O'Brien, he needs to be fired." And maybe the most ironic part about all of this, Alabama will be winning by 30 points. I think a lot of this also has to deal with, and I'll talk about this later in the video, Alabama fans are spoiled. As most of you know, I am an Alabama fan, but I would say I'm a pretty reasonable guy, and I actually hate Alabama fans because a lot of them are entitled pieces of crap. They don't appreciate winning anymore. That's not good enough. Now you got to beat teams by 45 points or it's a quote-unquote bad game and somebody needs to be fired. I get it. I played sports myself at a very high level and I know how hard it is to win week in and week out. It doesn't matter if you're playing a top 5 team or a top 500 team. It's hard to win, period, the end. And to win at the rate and the level Alabama has, not just for 2, 3, or 4 years, but for 15 years now, it's unreal. You'll never see it again in your lifetime. But yet, and it blows my mind, it's still not good enough for Alabama fans. I had to emphasize this. I'm an Alabama fan, and we could have 5 straight losing seasons over the next 6 years, and I still would be happy with what we accomplished in the past 15 years. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying I would be happy with the losing seasons, and it's definitely not acceptable, but for what we've done over the past 15 to 20 years, yeah, it makes up for it. Anyways, that's besides the point. I don't want to rant on that, but the point of this video is it doesn't matter what Bill O'Brien does, people are going to criticize him. Oh yeah, let me clarify this. I can't remember if I already did. Bill O'Brien is the offensive coordinator for Alabama. And once again, I'll show you another tweet right here. Me when Bill O'Brien calls another bubble screen for the 4th time in one drive. Alabama fans strongly dislike this man, and apparently when the players play bad, it's his fault as well. Look at this right here. It got over 800 likes. The truth. Bill O'Brien is the reason for Alabama's offensive problems so far. And this person put the effort in to make bullet points and legit reasons as to why Bill O'Brien sucks. I'll just read them off to you because I think they're interesting. Bama's leading wide receiver is a running back. No matter who the running back is, they shouldn't be our go-to wide receiver. Alabama has attempted 7 passes that have gone 20 yards in the air. Alabama had only 19 plays where they snapped the ball with over 6 seconds on the play clock. Alabama is virtually unstoppable when going up tempo. However, they hardly do it. His play calling does not fit Bama's offensive player strengths. Jahmyr Gibbs has 22 carries on the season. He should be getting that per game. Alabama has had 6 one-score games under Bob. Bama only had 6 one-score games from 17 through 20. And for some reference, this tweet was posted on 9/19/22, so it was before the most recent game on Saturday. That doesn't matter. What does matter is, and if you're an Alabama fan, you know how everybody feels about him, Bama fans do not like this guy and they want him gone. Me personally, and I'm going to give you my perspective, I've always heard the Bill O'Brien slander, and I thought it was jokes at first. I really thought people were just joking, but no, it's not jokes anymore. People are being serious. And as an Alabama fan myself, I genuinely don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't. Alabama has played 4 games this year, and in 3 of those games, they have scored over 55 points. The one game where they didn't even get close to it, we all know, Alabama and Texas, they won 20-19. Did the offense look bad? Yeah, but I don't understand how you blame Bill O'Brien for that. That game against Texas, Alabama had the most penalties ever in the history of Nick Saban being there. So are the penalties, is that Bill O'Brien's fault, Alabama fans? I'm asking you a question. I went back and I watched the film, and I know a lot of you don't do this. Is it Bill O'Brien's fault? I'm asking you, is it Bill O'Brien's fault the wide receivers can't get open? I don't think so, and I can guarantee you this. If they were open, Bryce Young, the best quarterback in America, he would have got him the ball. And whenever Alabama struggles, I hate it. All these fans around here, I live around this area, all they say is, well, dang, the offensive coordinator, he needs to be fired, man. It's his fault. It's never the player's fault. It's always the offensive coordinator. I'm sick and tired of it. When, as an Alabama fan, are you going to come down to reality and take accountability and say, well, hey, maybe our wide receivers, they couldn't get open. Well, hey, maybe our running backs, they couldn't run the ball good that game. Maybe our offensive line wasn't good at blocking. I don't understand why it is always Bill O'Brien's fault. But hey, maybe that's just me. Maybe Matt's crazy. This is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but I'm not like one of those people who just follow the crowd. I'm a leader. I do my own thing. I form my own opinion. And I think Bill O'Brien is doing a fine job. I think he's doing A-okay. Is he doing the best job in the world? I don't think so, but he hasn't been in Alabama for that long. Keep in mind, for all those people out there to rush him off real quick, Nick Saban didn't win a championship in his first year. I'm going to say this before we get into what we really need to get into. Sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Remember that. The new rumors coming out with Georgia Tech's head coach being fired that Bill O'Brien has now been named a candidate for the Georgia Tech job, and right now from everything I've seen, he looks like the front runner. And here we go with Alabama fans trolling with the hate. Somebody tweeted out, Bill O'Brien reported package to Georgia Tech is impressive. $3.4 million a year for 5 years, performance bonuses, new Mercedes-Benz demo vehicle every year, and that is just the part Alabama has agreed to pay. If you couldn't tell, that's a complete troll and joke. There's also been many speculations and rumors going on, and I've seen a lot of traction with this, is he could be a leading candidate for the Nebraska job. If I'm Bill O'Brien, I'm not even considering that Georgia Tech job because that is a crap show. It would take so long to rebuild, and look who you're having to recruit against. In the state of Georgia, so you got to out-recruit Georgia, and then you also got Alabama, Tennessee, Florida. I wouldn't take that job. The program's a mess, and you're not going to convince kids to go to your school over Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and just every other school in the SEC right now. However, if you go to Nebraska, that's a different ballgame. I don't think Nebraska is set up to succeed right away, but I think they're in a better standing than Georgia Tech, and they have an awesome fan base. Although the fan base is delusional, they do have a big one, and I gotta give them credit. I want to make this clear. This isn't a if, this is a when. Bill O'Brien, he's not staying at Alabama for much longer. He is going to leave. This is a guy who has coached at the highest level of the game, so no, he's not going to be satisfied with just being an offensive coordinator the rest of his life. We all know how this goes. He was struggling in his coaching career, so he did what a lot of other head coaches do. He went to the Nick Saban Rehab Center. I would say that rehab's been going pretty good for him, and eventually he'll get that next opportunity. And when I say eventually, I mean he'll probably get that opportunity by the end of this season, or he may leave before it's even over. Who knows? I also want to share this with y'all. One of my friends who is also a big-time Alabama fan, shout out to you. You know who you are. I asked him, because he has also stated that he hates Bill O'Brien, but I think he's joking. I asked him, I said, hey man, why do you hate Bill O'Brien? I am genuinely curious. I was curious. I wanted to see what he was going to say, and here's what he responded. I think Bama fans hate anyone when Alabama isn't doing good. If Saban lost 3 games, they would probably hate Saban too. I don't really hate Bob. I just don't know if our receivers aren't as good or if his play calling ability downfield is not working with the athletes we have. But I also think he may be keeping the playbook closed until the upcoming 3 to 4 game stretch. For those of you who don't know, we got a brutal stretch coming up. He's not going to pull out all the weapons until we play Georgia or somebody that could beat us. Okay. What about that? I found that extremely interesting. Once again, shout out to you. I really appreciate that. I always like getting a different perspective and insight, especially from another Alabama fan. The part I agree with the most, and I've stated this on the channel, I can't remember what video it was, I have said, hey Alabama fans, maybe, just maybe, your receivers aren't that good anymore. Remember when Alabama fans were spoiled when they had Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle, and Devontae Smith all on one team at one time? That is 4 first-rounders. We got used to our receivers just running past defenders. Henry Ruggs and Jalen Waddle was 2 of the fastest players in college football history. We got used to having great route runners with Jerry Jeudy and Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith won the freaking Heisman. So yes, of course, anything lower than those guys, it's going to make the offense look worse than what it was. And I mean this with no disrespect to our current wide receivers, but it's clear as day to see they are nowhere even close to a Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs, or Jalen Waddle. They're not close, and honestly, they're not even close to a John Mechie or Jamison Williams. Those guys were studs last year. I also want to address this. People saying that Jahmyr Gibbs, he's not getting used the right way. Well, I don't know what you want Bill O'Brien to do, because you say, oh, we need to use Jahmyr Gibbs more so he throws in the ball. Then you say, oh, well, Jahmyr Gibbs, he doesn't need to catch that many passes. Like, do some of y'all see what I'm saying? Bill O'Brien, doesn't matter what he does, he can't please anybody. Do I think that Bill O'Brien cares what any of y'all have to say? No. But also at the same time, I don't understand why y'all say what y'all say about him. If I had to make an assumption or an educated guess, I would say Bill O'Brien's going to go to Nebraska. I firmly believe he'd be a pretty dang good hire. He knows what he's doing, he's been around the block, and he's also familiar with the Big Ten. He coached at Penn State. I don't know where he's going to go, but I can guarantee you this, he won't be at Bama for much longer. I am curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But to Ride One Millie!